Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is something weird happening right now in the United States. In the last 48 hours, there have been at least 17 earthquakes, and I'll be sharing with you guys some media shortly. There have been at least 17 earthquakes under the highly or around that area of Area 51, which is a military base in Nevada. So I'll give you guys what we know, and then I'll come on to some videos and some speculation on what that may be. So obviously you guys know from history that Area 51's allegedly the place where they've got flying saucers and secret bases, and I don't know about that, but that's what we're being told. So the strongest one of these earthquakes measured 4.4 on the good old Richter. Now, many of them were unusually shallow for earthquakes at around 2.5 miles underground. Over 100 people reported feeling shaking. This follows a similar swarm of over 100 microquakes in the same area back in March. This is getting weirder, right? Officially, scientists say it's natural tectonic activity. Nevada sits in a seismically active zone, but when you have a cluster of shallow earthquakes right next to one another, around the most secretive base probably in the world. In fact, you know what? It's not going to be the secretest base in the world, is it? Because we know about it. It's one of the most notorious secret bases, right? Because if it was a true secret base, nobody would know about it. Now, Area 51 is long rumored through some conspiracy theorists to have homed secret technology, underground facilities, and projects the public knows nothing about. And now the ground is literally shaking and moving beneath it. Maybe it's Mother Nature, or maybe something's happening underground. So if you guys remember, we've heard claims from senior insiders about trillions, and I did this yesterday. What was it? 17. There was a lot of money, like trillions of dollars in unaccounted funds going into vast secret underground networks, bases built for a major catastrophic event, a near extinction event. Now, look, whether you believe these or not, I don't, whether you believe there's little green men under there, I'm not convinced, or whether you guys think it's just some nuclear research facility. This is really happening, and it's very difficult not to add all this together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys is it this one? I think it's this video. Yeah, I'm going to share with you guys this video now. And what they're saying on this video is, these earthquakes happened just after Donald Trump made his speech the other day about releasing UFO files. So let's watch this video.
24 hours, there have been 17 earthquakes near Area 51. It started with a 4.4 magnitude quake.
That seems like a lot, right? That seems like a lot. Now, obviously, from that map there, you guys can see where Area 51's denoted in Nevada. Now, if you guys know anything about, these building bases underground, the entrance for said facility may be at Area 51, but the actual facility could be miles away. That could be absolutely miles away under the ground. However, it does look like there's one in Utah there as well, isn't there? And then you've got like that little cluster underneath the V of Nevada. So these, I don't know. I mean, this guy's going to come on and speculate what this could be.
2.5 miles underground. The area is normally not.
So 2.5 miles underground. That's what they're saying. That may be where they've got that may be how deep these facilities are, right? 2.5 miles.
Not prone to earthquakes this shallow, and it's leading to theories of nuclear testing or even UFOs because it all happened after President Trump said this.
Do you have an update on the UFO files and what we're going to be seeing?
Well, I think we're going to be releasing as much as we can in the near future. They want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material. And we're going to be releasing a lot of things that we have. And I think some of it's going to be very interesting.
Joining us now to respond, Dr. Stephen Greer, UFO researcher in retired position. Great to see you, Doctor. So are these earthquakes just a version of burning the files at an embassy when people got to get out?
Well, the thing that lights up.
So what she's saying there is she's asking the question, and I don't know if you understood the significance there. Basically, when you're in an embassy, an NGO, we did this in Ukraine when we had to leave because the Russians came over. You'll be in the office, right? And you have to destroy everything. You literally have to destroy everything. So you're burning documents, you're ripping hard drives out of computers, you're literally destroying everything because you can't take it with you when you've got to evacuate, right? When I know that I've got a very good friend of mine who was in Donetsk. Was he in Donetsk? Well, he was just outside Donetsk. He was in Donetsk, but he wasn't in. He was in Donetsk Oblast, basically. But basically, so when the Russians came over in 2022, he was the security manager of a large NGO, a large non-government organization, and he had to stay behind, like smashing everything up. So when this build-up was happening, they were removing staff, and then they said, right, okay, if this happens, we need to consolidate all this stuff and we need to destroy it. That's what happens in anywhere that you have to evacuate quickly because you can't take that information. Think you might have in the case of Area 51, 50, 60, maybe 70 years of technology down there that you need to destroy, allegedly.
Up in my mind is that back in the 1990s, I briefed a man who worked and designed a security apparatus at some of the facilities out there, particularly the ones up near Groom Lake and Pahut Mesa. And he explained that on the top of those complexes underground were like bunker busting type bombs, but underneath them were thermonuclear devices, so that if anybody was getting close to those facilities, and by this, it could even be the legal government of the United States, they could collapse those facilities. No.
So what he's saying there is like when I just spoke about that, if you're in an NGO or an embassy, you need to evacuate, you destroy all the laptops, right, and all the paperwork. What he's talking about here is on absolute steroids. So can you guys imagine? Let me go back here. What are we on? We're on 126, right? Let me go back here. So can you imagine if all these locations, right, all these little red dots were where there's, look, guys, and I'm just wildly speculating now. Can you imagine if all these little red dots are where, there's secret craft or stuff that you need to get rid of, so you make an explosion with a low yield nuclear weapon, and that just absolutely destroys everything.
Like this, it could even be the legal government of the United States. They could collapse those facilities. No, I don't know that that's what happened, but I know for a fact those security systems are out there. So that's one consideration. Now, it could just be a cluster of earthquakes, or they could be doing some legitimate underground testing out in that region.
Yeah, there are a lot of mountains out there, so earthquakes.
So something interesting he said there as well was that this could be, that this could get collapsed because of the legal US government. So can you imagine that? That means that. Can you imagine? Look, guys, and I don't know if that's the case, but can you imagine if there is some, I won't say I don't know how they'd get funding, but I did a live stream yesterday and we was talking about, I think it was it was a lot of money. It was in the high trillions of money that's just vanished. And there's a lot of unaccountable money in the United States. So where's this money going? And I guess it would be feasible, at least, for an organization to operate within the government or even above the government without the government actually knowing. But then you have to ask questions, like realistic questions, like, Who has authority? You know, because you think naturally, you think that like in America, the president will have like, he will be cleared the most secret, but that's not the case. I know for a fact that's not the case. I know for a fact that in the United Kingdom, it's not the case that the prime minister, for example, is cleared and authorized into some bases because he just won't have that clearance. And I know that sounds ridiculous, right? But I also know that that happens. Even like, so for example, when I was in the military, I had secret clearance. And even when you've got secret clearance, there's different levels of that secret clearance, right? So if I was operating on a, I don't know, if I was operating on a task force, all right, task force, what was, whatever. So if I was operating on a task force, if I was operating on a task force and I had secret clearance, and then there was somebody else who was like a higher rank than me, but he wasn't operating on that task force. He, you know, we both hold secret clearance, but he wouldn't be able to access the information I can access, and he wouldn't have clearance to access the facilities that I would have to access because he's not cleared to do that. So even within secret, and I only used to operate at secret level, and it goes a lot higher than that. So even operating just that secret, there are lots of layers to secret. Right, let me jump up and get some comments on the chat. Claire is saying, I'll not accept being injected with a satellite. Now, who's injecting satellites? Danny's saying satellite injections coming. Oh, I hope not. Hey, Sean, did you get any service tattoos? If so, is there, you can show us. I've just got the one on my arm. I've got a jumper on. I've just realized I've got the same jumper on I had yesterday. Next time I've got a t-shirt on, ask me. Right, so Fred is saying, I laugh so loud that my neighbors might think I've lost it. All right, okay. Right, so if you guys are joining for the first time, I'm talking about what's happening right now in Area 51 in the United States. There have been 17. This is what I'm getting from the mainstream. This is not hidden anymore. 17 earthquakes. 17 earthquakes have been, recorded, I guess, in and around the area of Area 51. Now, this comes at a very peculiar time, right, when there's a lot of buzz about UFOs, UAPs, the United States releasing all this information. So just to confirm, a series of at least 17 earthquakes have been recorded near the highly classified United States Air Force facility named Area 51. So I've got another video to share with you guys as well. Is it that one? Yeah, so it's this one. So in this video, this is a retired admiral. So this is a retired admiral. His name is Timothy Gallaudet. And he's warning that the Earth, and I think this is true as well, is already under surveillance, and we've already been visited. And he's saying some things in this video that I absolutely agree with, in the context that if this is true, I absolutely don't know if it's been true, but we are being pushed that way, right? What he's saying is, if this is true, this is the biggest story ever. Biggest story ever. So let's share this with you guys.
Great question, Will. First and foremost, they're real. We're being visited by some type of higher order intelligence that we don't understand, and we don't.
Okay, just straight away in the first 9 seconds, he's saying that UFOs, aliens are real. He's not, you know, and like I keep saying in all these videos, right? Whether you personally, and I was talking to my dad actually the other day. He dropped some wood off. My dad brings me like wood, and you know, I give him beer for my log burner. So I was talking to my dad the other day. He dropped some wood off, and he had 5 minutes. And I was saying, Dad, are you watching all this alien stuff? He said, his exact words were, "It's bollocks." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Yeah, it's nothing." I said, "What do you mean it's nothing?" He said, "Yeah, it's nonsense." I said, "I know it might be." And, you know, I was quite, yes, it may be nonsense, but aren't you interested why, like, the president of the United States is giving this real, like, time? And he just said, "Oh, it's stupid." And, like, I understand that some people, you know, think like that. But for me, I just want to know more. I want more information. I want to know why this is coming out. Why this is coming out now? You know, why is the vice president of the United States saying that this is? I mean, this was just as crazy. The vice president of the United States coming out saying that, "Oh, don't worry, it's not aliens, it's demons." And you're like, "What? That's even worse. That's it. No, I prefer aliens. I would absolutely prefer it if it was aliens." So he's saying that, you know, this guy here, this retired, I think he's a retired admiral. He's saying that, you know, these things are real. They've been visiting Earth for a long time, and we can't comprehend what they are.
Don't even know their intentions, and it's happening often, frequently, and in our airspace, water space. So that should be a cause of concern for our government. And we know the government knows and is not acknowledging that full new nature of reality. And that's probably my biggest point here, is that us being not alone in the universe is probably the story of the century.
He's absolutely right. It's the biggest, like, there is not another story ever. Nothing is a bigger story than this. If it's true, I don't know if it is. You know, maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll all get, you know, maybe it'll just lead to higher taxes and more money for the government. But this question, are we alone in the universe? And, you know, going back to the Fermi paradox, you know, if life is so abundant, I got demonetized for my video. You know, yesterday I shared a video with you guys, and there was some, it was like some ocean stuff. I got demonetized because of the music. You have to be really careful what you're sharing. Anyway, sorry. I was just thinking, yeah, yesterday was talking about, you know, alternate dimensions and how, you know, things that I think we're gonna come with. I think we're gonna be presented with evidence, and we just can't comprehend it, right? And going back to the conversation I was having with my dad, some people just won't want to comprehend it, and and to me, that's just as big a story, that people don't want to comprehend it.
Or the millennia, and really, like Galileo, when he changed the entire thought of the Western world, we're at the same inflection point now in our understanding of the universe.
I think it's going to actually be bigger. So I've mentioned this a few times. So Galileo Galilei, he was the guy who said, well, hang on a minute, maybe, you know, and this was groundbreaking at the time, right? Well, how about the Earth orbits the sun? And I know it sounds, you know, obvious now. How about the Earth orbits the sun? And I've said this so many times. When people say things and they resonate with me. So back before, when people thought the Earth was stationary in the middle, you know, in the middle of the solar system, and the sun moved around the Earth, and the moon moved around the Earth, and there was huge problems, right? Nobody could figure out, because they knew these things in the sky. They knew they weren't stars, right? I'm talking about other planets now, because they were that low on the plane, and they had strange orbits, strange tracks, I guess. So nobody could figure out how. Nobody could figure out how the other planets were moving, and it just nothing made sense. Nothing made sense. And then Galileo said, well, hang on a minute. What if we say the sun's in the middle and everything orbits the sun? Then everything fell into place then. Oh, God, we understand now. And I do think we're there now. That's where I think we're at.
New nature of reality. And at least for America, the American people have a right to know that. And the government does know that, and they're not disclosing it.
Still, if you go back to, what's his name, Bob Lazar's video, when he said, maybe there's a good reason why, maybe there's a good reason why we're not being told that there are aliens. And the only reason I can think of, the only logical reason I can think of is that it's kind of a dark reason. Can you imagine if you were told, that, I don't know where you live. Pretend you live in a village, right? Pretend you live in a small village. And you were told that in 10 years, half of your village were going to be harvested, or your tribe, half of your tribe was going to be harvested. And there's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing you can do about it. Would you want to know? Would it be wise telling those people, hey guys, listen, in 10 years, we are going to cruise in and we are going to take half of your population, maybe even more, maybe even like 2/3 or something, 3/4, whatever. There is a history on Earth of mass extinction events, near extinction events, huge history, around about every 12,000 years. And I've been putting these things together. And I'm still going to stick with my, I'm going to still stick with my theory that it all orbits around the asteroid Apophis. So let me just share this with you. Hang on. What am I doing here? Hang on. Let me stop share. I think I've messed this up. Give me a second. Right. Yeah, I can. Sorry. Let me go back. In fact, I've totally messed this up. Hang on. Right. I've messed this up and I've lost it as well. I've done a double jeopardy. There we are. Got it. Right. So let me share this again. So you guys know I've been talking and I've been worrying and I've been very concerned. I've been very concerned about this asteroid, Apophis. It's called the God of Chaos. That's what the asteroid's called, guys. The God of Chaos. Now, it's just coming a little bit too close for my liking. It will be a close call, but scientists are assuring people Earth will avoid contact with an asteroid nicknamed God of Chaos in 2029. The skyscraper-sized object will be so close, within 20,000 miles of the surface of the planet, nearer than some satellites. It will be visible to the naked eye on Friday, the 13th of April, 2029. Is it just me, right? Is it just me? Or is anyone else a little bit concerned by this? Friday the 13th, God of Chaos. When you have an asteroid, right? And I do. I've got them on my on my news alerts and anything that's like this that breaks the news, my what is it, like the assistant, it sends me a notification. So any asteroid, anything, right, that comes like 5 million miles, right? If something comes 5 million miles, you get a warning, right? And it'll say, you get a headline, it'll say something like, asteroid skims past Earth tonight with only 24 hours notice for warning. And then oh my God, you're like, oh God, where is it? Where's it coming from? Oh God, you look and, it's like 5 million miles away and you're like, oh, okay. Whew. But in astronomical terms, 5 million miles is skimming past. That's classed as a near-Earth object. So 20,000 miles underneath satellites. Friday the 13th, it just seems to me a little bit too close for comfort, guys. It really does. That asteroid just seems a little bit too close for comfort. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, can you please do me a real big favor and hit that like button? Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. I know this subject matter that I talk about, it's kind of outside what I normally talk about. However, I'm convinced that this is going to be the next big news story. I really am. I absolutely am. In my mind, there's no doubt. Because the foundations are being absolutely laid. Kinder is saying, all right, off by a decimal place. Yeah, so can you imagine, with the asteroid, asteroid Apophis, that somebody just, because I can't see, I've no idea where this asteroid's coming from or what's happening, but can you imagine if somebody just puts in the wrong decimal place or makes a little error? There's no room for error here, guys. There isn't. With this asteroid Apophis, the god of chaos. And scientists are getting killed. And all these scientists that are getting killed, honestly, guys, I don't know what it is, but something huge is coming in this sphere. It really is. Right, listen, I'm going to start to close this down now. The crux of this live stream has been the 17 earthquakes that have struck near Area 51, the Area 51 US Air Force Base in Nevada. Now, over 100 people in that area have reported shaking. This follows a similar swarm of over 100 microquakes back in March. Officially, scientists are saying it's down to natural tectonic plate activity. However, with all the stuff that's going on right now, and I just shared with you guys a video there by, Stephen Greer, and what he was saying is at this facility, and look, guys, I don't know if this is true or not, but what he was saying is at this facility, Area 51, they actually have under the ground, I can only assume, and this is speculation, by these craft that they're trying to reverse engineer or whatever. He's saying they have, above them, they have bunker busters. Again, I don't know how that works because a bunker, but whatever, that's what he said. And underneath them, they have nuclear weapons. So what he's saying is if somebody's trying to get into that facility, even the legal government, they will blow it and, destroy everything. Now, these earthquakes are relatively shallow for earthquakes, around 2.5 miles underground. Now, that's not beyond the depths of, that you could dig and tunnel, especially if you've had like 60, 70 years to dig these things. So that's what's happening right now in the United States, guys. It is crazy. There's stuff coming out all the time. There really is. I'm still not convinced that we're looking at a disclosure of little green men. I think what we're going to get is when disclosure comes out, I think it will be in phases. I think the first phase will be, because this is how things happen. Nothing happens quickly. You know, it's slowly. So what we're actually getting now as well is soft disclosure. So we're getting all these rumored videos, leaked videos. We don't know if it's real. When this information gets released, I think this will be in phases. I think the first phase will be nothing much that we haven't seen already. And it will be a bit, not a nothing burger, but people will say, right, okay, at least we can confirm that these are real now, that they're real videos, you know, because these videos have already been released. And then we will get drip fed, basically, the information. Dan is saying nettle soup for Christmas dinner this year. Right, I am going to come back on and do another video because I'm going to come back on and do another video because they're talking about the fourth. Go on. Sorry, they're talking about now the fourth turning warning, and people need to get prepared. Grow your own garden, know your neighbors, have a plan. So I am going to be coming on, and I'm going to be doing another video on. It's going to be kind of like a reaction video because who is it from? I think it's Alex Jones. But what he's talking about is, you know, world events are now accelerating and hitting an absolute apocalyptic fever pitch. That's what he's saying, an apocalyptic fever pitch. So I will jump back on. I'll be talking about that, guys. I might even have that as a prepping 101 video because if you guys, so I talk about strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, hard men create strong times, right? That cycle. It can also be called the fourth turning. And we are right at the end of that now. Whichever way you want to look at it, we are kind of at that crisis phase right now where the apocalypse is really reaching fever pitch. Northern Hillbilly, is saying when Operation Bluebeam comes out, the sheep will believe because they're vaccine injured. Okay, so I totally get this, right? I totally accept that that's what could be happening right now. Now, just to play devil's advocate, right? How do we know that Project Bluebeam, let's just say that aliens are coming, right? Let's just say they are 100% coming. Real aliens, little green men, right? Little green men, they're on their way. They're in their ship. They're in their little ship. You know, they're hiding, maybe here in a pot. You know, they've got the arrival date of the Friday the 13th of April, 2029. You know, they're on their way. And they've known they're coming for a long time. They've known they're coming for like 12,000 years, right? Because that's historically, that's like the cycle, 12,000 years. And we're at the end of that cycle now. So they've known they're coming for a while. So what better way to subvert a planet by spreading the rumor that about this Project Bluebeam? Like if you've Northern Hillbilly, if you're watching my live stream earlier, I was talking about how very quickly in the United Kingdom over the space of like 4 years, I think, this group, I'm not going to talk about them because I talked about them earlier. This group managed to infiltrate a local council and operate with impunity. So if you're an intergalactic civilization, right, you can pretty much do the same, but on a planetary scale, right? So I'm literally just playing, devil's advocate because the reality is I don't know. Applejack's Gaming is saying, totally prepared. My husband and I build a house in less than a month with no electricity and can set up solar and know how to purify water and can hunt and fish. And our that is fantastic. That's fantastic. I really wish I'd have bought solar panels. I do. I'm kicking myself. When we moved in, it was going to cost like 50. I think it was going to cost like 15 grand when we moved in to have solar panels. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to buy solar panels. It's ridiculous. I'm absolutely kicking myself now. I'm absolutely kicking myself because it's not just the price of everything going up, right? It's the scarcity. Doesn't matter how much money you've got, you know, if there's not stuff there, you can't do it, right? You can't buy it. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, don't put solar panels on your roof. It will ruin the value of your home. Will it really? Will it really? I don't think it will. I don't know. Maybe it will. Michelle is saying all our Earth contracts have finished now. All the people that don't resonate with your vibration and energy will just fall away from your life. That's deep, Michelle. That's deep. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen. Who's Bunty? What's going on here? What's going on with Bunty? Hang on. Bunty is saying it will be Mad Max with cups of tea. I think it will, you know. A while ago, I started to talk about like what type of dystopia are we heading towards? And then it really did dawn on me that we're at that we're in like a Mad Max type dystopia whereby, and this was before the fuel shortages, right? The first Mad Max movie, the 1979 one, you've got like a police force, but they don't really have any authority. You've got criminal gangs operating because they're too powerful to not operate, right? You've got normal people pretending to stick to laws. And it's just like, you don't really know what's happened or how you got there. But yeah, I absolutely agree. You know, two-tier policing as well. That's a huge one. Right, listen, guys, I am going to close this down. I'm going to be pretty much back on straight away. And I'm going to be talking... I'm going to be talking about... oh, God, I've got this. Right, I've got some more videos. I'm going to be back on shortly. And I'm going to be talking about the fourth turning apocalypse cycle. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to be talking about. I will be talking about the fourth turning apocalypse cycle. I've got some more videos to share with you guys. I've got a video from China, right? From China. And it's absolutely terrifying. It is. So please stick around. Please jump back. Please jump back on. The video I'm going to share with you guys later from China is, I think it's China. It might be Taiwan or Japan. It's absolutely terrifying. It's the most terrifying. You'll see what I mean. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close you guys down now. I'll be back on almost instantly. Ladies and gentlemen. So I'll catch you guys later.